What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Back to 12 podcast. I am RC Maxfield, and it's just another day. It's just another day. No big storylines for Texas Tech, that's for sure. Obviously, a lot of sarcasm right there by me. There is a ton to discuss in today's live video, including Texas Tech and their new offensive coordinator, as well as Texas Tech flipping. If you were live with us yesterday and you watched yesterday's live, you would have known this was a strong possibility. Texas Tech flipping and landing, well, a 4-star interior offensive lineman. We'll discuss him. Also, arguably the biggest news of the day, and I'm not even joking about this, a star Texas Tech defender set to return in 2025. And could there be a father and son duo on the Texas Tech staff next year? According to Football Scoop, it sure sounds that way. All right, let's get into it. Let me know where you're watching from. Y'all know the drill by now. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments, and be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We've got diehard Texas Tech right here. Let's go, RC. So much good news. Any takes? You know I've got some diehard Texas Tech fan. We've got some takes, but first, I think we need to get to the news more than anything. And again, appreciate y'all spending some of your Thursday night with me. Actually, honestly, doing this a little early because I really want to watch that Thursday night football game between the Packers and the Lions. So a little selfish on my part, but I'm just being honest. All right, let's jump into this because there were really waves to the news today for Texas Tech. It felt like, honestly, you had a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner almost in the way of the news for Texas Tech. So let's start off with what happened today. Early in the morning, it was Pete Thamel at ESPN who broke the news. Mack Leftwich, a guy that we talked about multiple times here on the channel. He was in my video of the 4 guys that I thought could be really, really good fits for Texas Tech that were outside of that quintessential Tech bubble or Tech tree per se. And Mack Leftwich, the Texas State offensive coordinator, will be the next offensive coordinator now for your Texas Tech Red Raiders. When it comes to the stats for Mack Leftwich, and before we get into the stats, let's get into a little bit of his background. He actually comes from a, coaching family. So his dad was a head coach, moved all around. He actually graduated high school in Pennsylvania and may be one of the only players to ever commit to UTEP from Pennsylvania, and that because his dad went down there to coach. So he played for his dad. He actually medically retired, or I should say retired early at UTEP and started to get ahead at his coaching career. And really just a few years later, at the age of 29, yeah, you heard that right, 29. Don't know exactly when his birthday is relative to kickoff next year. Maybe he's 30 by that point, but he's 29 when he gets hired by the Red Raiders. He is your new offensive coordinator. In terms of the stats, right? That's kind of what y'all want to know about. Last year at Texas State, Mack Leftwich, he had a pretty damn good offense, people. Let's just run through this real quick. 6th nationally in total offense, about 474 yards per game. 11th nationally in scoring offense, 37.1 points per game. 29th nationally in passing offense at 265 yards per game. And then 16th nationally in rushing offense with 208.8 yards per game. He also ranked top 22 nationally, 21st in third down conversion rate at 45.8%. Now, in 2023, because this is actually the second year that he has called plays for Texas State, in his first year in 2023, the Bobcats averaged 36.7 points per game and an FBS program record 477 points for the entirety of the season, which helped Texas State reach and win its first bowl game in program history. Okay, Texas State scored 40-plus points in 6 of its 13 games in 2023, but the most appealing part to me in terms of Mack Leftwich is his scheme and how he seemingly just always puts a variety of skill players in the proper position to succeed. You look at this, I describe his offense as this, and maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. That would be totally fine. I would qualify his offense as a modified spread. Okay, so it's somewhere between a air raid and a traditional spread, right? Like somewhere in the middle there, but it's uber balanced. I mean, again, you heard the rushing total there. They were 16th nationally in terms of yards per game on the ground. Okay, he's done this consistently over and over again, and seemingly can just have a great offense at the blink of an eye. Now, does that happen at Texas Tech? I don't know. But in terms of the actual hire, like I feel like everybody wants a grade on the hire, right? This feels like a phenomenal hire to me. This was one of the three guys that I talked about that was going to really catch my eye if Texas Tech was able to hire them. The other one was Jake Spavital at Baylor. That didn't happen, which is fine. Eric Morris at UNT. That didn't happen. But you do get one of them in Mack Leftwich, and he was highly coveted, right? Like this was a battle between you and another Big 12 foe in the Utah Utes, right? He was actually out in Salt Lake City and then flew to Lubbock, and Texas Tech finished off the deal with, which sounds like it Las Brisas. And if you haven't gone to Las Brisas, you 100% should. Hashtag not a sponsor, but they absolutely should be. They absolutely should be. I mean, why not at this point? But I digress. He was out in Lubbock last night, and they finished the deal apparently this morning. I absolutely love this hire by Texas Tech. I think it brings a youthful energy, much like Zach Kittley did when they first hired him. Yes, you can have your opinions about Zach Kittley. It is what it is. But I really like this hire by Texas Tech. And Mack Leftwich is viewed as one of those young offensive coordinators that has the chance to be the next youngest head coach at the FBS level. And honestly, if he's the next youngest head coach at the FBS level, that probably means he did a damn good job for the Texas Tech offense. And honestly, that's all you can ask for if you're a part of Red Raider Nation. So again, big time hire by Joey McGuire. I thought, again, I'm not trying to drink no Kool-Aid. I'm not trying to do any of that, but just being, taking the rose-colored glasses off, the scarlet and black glasses off, from a 50,000-foot view, this is a really damn good week for Texas Tech in terms of hiring coaches. And we're actually going to talk about another coach that they hired a little later on in the live, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But in terms of the coordinators, I think you get at least a B+ on Sheil Wood, if not higher, right? And then I give this one an A because I truly believe Mack Leftwich is one of those young, up and rising and coming stars where it's like, yeah, he's going to be a head coach one day, and he's going to be a really damn good one. So you get on the ground floor in terms of his power for experience, and he takes over the Red Raider offense with what sounds like it's going to be Baron Morton as QB1 and then Will Hammond in the QB room as well. Again, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. We've got nearly 100 people in here live right now. Appreciate y'all spending some of your Thursday evening with me. We got a lot to talk about. We just checked off the offensive coordinator. You know how that goes. The handy dandy notepad. If you're tuning in, we got the notepad. We're going to be talking recruiting. We're going to be talking about players returning. And again, another coach that Texas Tech reportedly is adding to the offensive side of the football, although we're not sure exactly on what his role will be, but he will be added. So if you want to stay around for that, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube and the most interactive. But the best part about it, it's 100% free. You can't beat that. Liking the video and subscribing really helps us to put out more content and build this community of passionate Red Raider fans. All right. Quick drink of water real quick. I'll give a couple shout outs here in just a second as well. See a lot of familiar names in here from this week. Appreciate y'all spending a lot of time with me. I did the math. This is my 9th video this week, including lives. There was just a little bit to talk about. Just a little bit to talk about for sure. Let's go. We got somebody watching in Dallas, Texas. We've got, Los Angeles. Okay. We've got watching from, okay, calm down. This is a family show, somewhat anyway. Watching from San Diego, listening from Cave Creek, Arizona, watching from Amarillo, Uptown Dallas. Howdy, neighbor. Shout out to Jeremy. We landed an offensive lineman, typo in the title. Yeah, I guess I did have a typo in the title there. That I guess we land. You land. No D there. Hashtag immunity. But yeah, Mack takes what the defense gives him. Yep. Also, appreciate you shouting that out in terms of letting me know, Brandon. I probably wouldn't have noticed. So I actually genuinely appreciate that. Mack takes what the defense gives him 100%. Really excited about it and really excited to see what kind of pieces want to come play for him after they watch the explosive offense he had at Texas State. Yes, it's a jump up in competition, but I think his offense translates just because of the point Jeremy had there in the comments. He takes what the defense gives him. Alex, A+ higher. I think it's an A, but hey, I'm not going to complain about an A+, that's for sure. If he can put skill players in the right position, be more than Kitley ever could do. We don't need to be shitting on Zach Kitley anymore. He had a pretty damn good offense. Okay, it's pretty good. He's a major reason why the Red Raiders were 8-4. He put that offense in a good spot, and wish him nothing but the best out in Boca. That's for sure. Michael, watching from Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. Any Texas State kids that would come with him? I don't know if there's any like actual like legitimate ones. I'd be interested in their running back. He almost had 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. I think he missed 1,000 yards this season by, I want to say like 9, something like that, something very low. But he could be a valuable, experienced guy in that running back room if you want to actually hand the keys to Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams and have a guy that's proven in terms of almost multiple 1,000-yard seasons. We got the 4 corners in here with Beerman. With what you said about putting skill players in good spots to succeed, does that sway Micah? Maybe. I really think on the Micah side of things, and we can talk about that a little later as well, as I dropped the pin there. But I don't know, man. I think it's super interesting from the Micah standpoint. I think it's really just a wait and see. And I know that that's not the answer you want to hear, but I think it's probably the reality of it in terms of you're just going to have to really wait and see on that front. Joey has been in contact with him. And it sounds like there's still a possibility there, but to act like anybody actually knows what's going to happen with that, I think it's more hearsay at this point and almost probably wishful thinking on a lot of fronts, if that makes sense. Let's see what else we've got here. His dad was an offensive line college coach. He played quarterback. He understands offense at all phases. Yeah, he understands the trenches more than anything. And he's talked about that in some interviews you can go listen to on YouTube. He's well versed in coaching. There's no doubt about that. Real quick, it's gonna bother me if I don't fix the title real fast. So I'm gonna go add a certain letter on there. Again, seriously, appreciate the call out there on that front. So it should be fixed on y'all's end here in a second. But seriously, looking at it in terms of everything from a Texas Tech standpoint, couldn't have gone better, in my opinion. I thought these were just 2 tremendous hires. I really did. Let's see here. Let's see. What's your opinion on the Planestalkers? If you know, you know. Over on Scarlet and Black Insider, we had some really good detectives last night following some planes around. So really good stuff in terms of that. So I actually had a couple people following planes that were coming from Salt Lake City and had left Lubbock the day just hours before to go pick up Leftwich out in Salt Lake City to get the job done. And shout out to Las Brisas and Joey McGuire last night for actually completing the job and actually getting pen to paper, it sounds like, for a new OC. Definitely exciting times. What's the news with Devin Cambridge? I believe they released a statement. I'm going to have to go check and see exactly what that was. Let me pull it up real fast. I saw that Texas Tech released a statement on that front discussing Devin Cambridge, but I don't know exactly what it was. Let me double check for you guys. All right, here we go. This from Grant McCaslin, who released a statement. Devin Cambridge is seeking a medical hardship waiver and is no longer with the team. We are thankful for his contributions to our basketball program. So there you have it. Devin Cambridge is no longer a part of Texas Tech men's basketball. That's kind of what we were expecting, if we're being honest, about the whole situation. It was kind of weird to me how it felt like he was getting some bad information about some things. This is just me personally saying things. This is not anything that I know for sure, but it kind of felt like he may have been hearing some bad information because he was going to have a pivotal role on this. But also you have to remember he's coming off of a major knee injury, right? He didn't look like himself in the limited action that we saw, but he was going to have a role on this team. Was he going to be a starter? No. Maybe that's what he wants. But hopefully Devin gets that extra year of eligibility because it's going to be difficult to get that medical. Hopefully he does for his sake so he can play another year of college basketball, but it will not be at Texas Tech. So I would assume that you see a lot more Ameli Elahu, who had a really nice game last night, I thought, against DePaul in a 14-point win by the Red Raiders. All right. Watching from San Antonio, your grind is not going to go unnoticed, dog. I appreciate the kind words. Bagel, I really want a bagel right now. What kind of bagels do y'all like? Weird question, I know, but it is what it is. Jerry, great coverage. Great on coverage. RC, come see us sometime and get a free burger on us from Nirvana Burger. Okay. I'm going to take you up on that, Jerry. I'm going to take you up on that. I love a good burger. That's for sure. Watching from my UNT apartment. Okay. Yeah, we got the Mean Green in the house. We got Tahoka in the house. We've got West Monroe, Louisiana, Austin, Texas, Cedar Park, Texas. And then where else we got? We got Melissa, Texas, right up the highway. Not too bad. Did you see his post on Instagram? I feel that's the biggest reason he left. Yeah, I saw something about the happiness aspect of things. It is what it is. I mean, honestly, at this point, it is what it is. I mean, Texas Tech is still 9 deep. They're still a really damn good basketball team. So I'm not getting too upset. That's for sure. All right. Again, before we hop into recruiting news here, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. 100% free Texas Tech content. Goes a great way in helping us. Enough with that spiel. Let's get into it. All right. Texas Tech yesterday signed not 17 when we did the live. That's actually what it was, 17, but 18 players now. As Texas Tech late last night, you got the woo, a.k.a. the Ric Flair gift from Joey McGuire, flipped a former Texas A&M commitment. He actually decommitted a couple days prior in 4-star offensive lineman Connor Carty. All right, let's take a look at his page over on 247 Sports. See, he's a 4-star interior offensive lineman, ranked as the 405th ranked player in the country, the number 26th offensive lineman. He even had the crystal ball there to Texas A&M, which, to be fair to them, he was committed there, but ended up decommitting and signed with the Red Raiders last night. He's 6'4", 290 from Prosper. Now, the interesting part here is he will not be an early enrollee, at least as it stands right now, according to the Texas Tech website. However, another interesting aspect of this, he has some familiarity with a guy that I think has some potential to play for the Red Raiders as soon as next year on the offensive line. Here is the blurb from Gabe Brooks. Burly, broad-built interior offensive line prospect who's most at home as a drive blocking presence, plays with off-the-ball quickness and leverage in the run game, displays above-average body control in that department. And then you can read the rest right there. He also competed in track and field. Shocker, right? You know Texas Tech loves their track and field guys. But at the very end there, you can see that last sentence going back up. Owns physical tools in on-field context that suggest the potential to become a multi-year starter for a high major program with certain data points that align with NFL draft upside. So there you go on the Carty front. Big time pickup, in my opinion, for Texas Tech. I thought this was a guy that was getting a lot of buzz. There was a lot of smoke after that. He, said, hey, I'm not going to Texas A&M anymore, decommitted. There was a lot of buzz from the fact that you had Ellis Davis, and that's the guy that he has a lot of familiarity with because he played at Prosper with Ellis Davis on the same offensive line. You can go over on Twitter and see Ellis Davis. He tweeted out a picture of him and Connor saying dreams really do come true. Thought that was really cool to see from that standpoint. In the sense of, yeah, man, both of those guys could be impact offensive linemen for the Red Raiders as soon as, Ellis Davis maybe next year. But then in 2026, really you could have both. I think that's really what we're looking forward to in terms of those two guys specifically. They have that connection, and it could be a really, really big one for the Red Raiders. So again, big time commitment. You add another 4-star up there along the lines of Tristan Gentry in this class, Lloyd Jones, depending on where you're looking at. So you add some really pivotal guys in this class and guys that I think had the potential, not next year, outside of maybe one or two, and Tristan Gentry, Leighton Stone, to maybe make an impact on special teams or as like a fifth or sixth wide receiver. But you add a guy in Connor Carty that I think has the potential as a redshirt freshman to be a starter at either left or right guard for the Red Raiders. And you do that on signing day. That's a pretty big deal for the Red Raiders. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's see. We've got Peachtree, Georgia. We've got Odessa, Texas. We've got Lawrence, Kansas, enemy coming in here, at least in enemy territory for you. How about Pop Isaacs last night taking that team down in Lawrence? Technically, I guess it was on Omaha. It was a game at Creighton, but Creighton upsetting number 1 Kansas last night. Pop with 27-7. You know he can go on a heater, but you also know that he can go on a cold streak as well. But last night was a heater for Pop. Fun game to watch for him. RC is indeed, guys. Jacob Harris, 2024. We got RC. Have you tried Shug's Bagels? I eat there way too often, to be honest, Jeremy. I love that bagel place in Dallas. It's fantastic. Joe says it's going to be interesting leaving the air raid scheme. I can't remember the last time we didn't run the air raid. I would still say hey, you're kind of in the air raid, but it's a modified spread, so it has components of an air raid, but also a pro-style spread offense, if that makes sense. I know that that's difficult to understand, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. Like you'll have 10 personnel, which is just 5 wide receivers, right? You'll have 11 personnel, which is 4 wide receivers, and then 1 running back. You'll have 12 personnel, right? Like all these things, right? You'll have these, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Like you'll see different sets, and I think that that's the best thing I can say about Leftwich. Going back to him, is that he just adjusts to what you have. He doesn't get dead set on anything specifically. So that's one thing I really like about the hire for sure. When do we see an impact on the offensive line from recruiting? I think you could see it as early as this year. That being said, I think they're going to go spend some money on the offensive line, as they should, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think Sheridan Wilson will still be your starter. Maybe 1 or 2 guys that you've recruited start. It kind of depends on who you get in the portal and how good they are, right? So it is what it is on that front. I think it's hard to say exactly when you're going to see the quote-unquote fruits of your labor in terms of an impact on the offensive line from specifically high school recruiting, just because it seems like they're going to go add 2 or 3 offensive linemen, and that probably impacts the chances of a former recruit doing anything, right? I'm sorry, can somebody explain to me what an early enrollee means? Yeah, so that just means they're starting early. Oh, shout out to Brandon. He answered the question. But it means, for everybody that didn't see the comments, that just means they're going to be on campus in January and go through spring camp, So that's all that means. And that's a big deal, too, because you see traditionally in college football, guys that are an early enrollee, they have a much higher chance to be impact players as true freshmen. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be, but they have a better chance, because you think about it, in spring, you get 14, 15 practices, and that only helps you get into that college regimen, understand everything, and have a chance to potentially make an impact as a true freshman. As you saw, perfect example, Cam Dickey. He was an early enrollee. So was Jacoby Williams. So there you go. Prosper High School has another 4-star tackle coming next year, so hopefully we can land him. Hey, let's start that Prosper offensive line connection. I am so down for it. I am so down for it, because Prosper is one of those schools that's just historically really good at getting high-end talent out, whether that's, on defense, offense, it doesn't matter. It seems like they're one of those programs that continuously churns out high-level content. Players. Jesus, I am in a content creator headspace right now. It's been a long week, people. Again, this is video number 9. Video number 9 this week. Absolutely crazy stuff. So again, like the video, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Up over 11,000 subscribers. We got there this week. Sincerely appreciate it. I think with all the news we're going to have about the portal, obviously the coordinators and everything like that, we can get to about 11,500 by the end of the month. But seriously, about 25 minutes into this, a sincere thank you to each and every one of you guys that have tuned in this week to all the videos and the content, have interacted with it, and spent some of your time with me. I don't take it for granted. I really don't, and really sincerely appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's move on to the next talking point. And I see some people talking about it in the comments. I've got it written down here, people. I got a little notepad. To be fair, real quick, stole it from the wife, but paper's paper. You know what I'm saying? J-Rod, maybe the biggest news of the day for Texas Tech. And yes, I am including the offensive coordinator getting hired. Jacob Rodriguez not only got named to the All Big 12 first team in 2024 this year, but also announced that he will be returning to Texas Tech for his last year of eligibility. This is massive for the Red Raiders. It cannot go understated how massive this is. Again, we're talking about an All Big 12 first team linebacker. This was a guy that single-handedly, it felt like, won Texas Tech 2 games on defense. You think about what he did against Arizona, and you think about the plays that he made against Oklahoma State, okay? Like, I understand it wasn't just him, but he had pivotal moments and key plays that put Texas Tech ahead for good in those games. Jacob Rodriguez is a bona fide star, and I don't think that it can go understated how big of an impact he will have in year number 1 of Shield Wood at Texas Tech, because you go and look at Shield Wood and what he does as a DC at every stop he goes to, there's massive turns in terms of production in year number 1. Perfect example, Houston. Before Shield Wood showed up there for his lone year down in H-Town, the Cougars were 106th in total offense, 106th, right? He got it to 26th in year 1. That's how good of a defensive coordinator he is, okay? And you have a building block. And not only that, you think about really the camaraderie you have in that linebacker room. Now, you have Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez playing for really their 3rd season in a row together, right? You throw in Curry there, you throw in Dingle, you have a loaded linebacker room, okay? That's almost something that you feel really, really good about if you're Texas Tech, and that allows you to really focus on the secondary. It allows you to focus on the defensive line and edge rushers in the portal, knowing that your key communicator and the leader of the defense will be there in a transition year in terms of the defensive coordinator. That doesn't mean there's going to be lower expectations. No, that doesn't mean that at all. In fact, with Jacob coming back, you better be better on defense, right? Like, you have to be better if you're Texas Tech. But this was a huge win. I mean, a massive win for Joey McGuire. And again, you think about the week Texas Tech has had, the roller coaster, right? You think about it. Let's start Saturday here. Absolutely obliterate West Virginia. Not even a game after midway through the second quarter, right? You're at the highest of the high, right? Then you fire Tim DeRuyter. There's some perception within the fan base. Oh, you fired the wrong coordinator, which was just absolutely asinine in my opinion, but it is what it is, right? And so you go down, and then also, you lose Zach Kitley. So you have to replace both coordinators. Whatever your opinion is on either of those coordinators, it doesn't matter from the fact that, hey, like, it is difficult in modern college football to replace both coordinators in one single offseason, right? So you're thinking to yourself, okay, it can't get much worse than that. No, you go through the core of the earth and you hear Micah Hudson is planning on entering the portal, okay? So not great, Bob. Not great here, right? But then you get around and you're like, oh, you get Shield Wood. And for those people that paid attention to college football last year and watched a little bit of Houston, yes, they were 4-8. An educated college football fan, and I think a lot of people that watch this are very educated because, well, hey, you're listening to this, and I'm sure you care about Texas Tech, so you're doing a ton of research, right? You go out and you get him, right? And Houston was not 4-8 because of the defense. In fact, they probably won 4 games because of their defense. Right? Their offense was putrid. It looked like I was playing at some of the positions out there for them. And I promise you don't want that, and you don't want it on your flag football team either. But you go get him. Okay, roller coaster's going up a little bit. Okay, it's going back up, right? Like, you're headed in the right direction. Bam. Then you land Mack Leftwich. Okay, now we're cooking with some really good flame here. Oh, by the way, you get Jacob Rodriguez back as well. This week has been a roller coaster for Texas Tech. But Joey Maguire, and again, drink the Kool-Aid if you want. I don't care. That's your prerogative. Strictly speaking, what he has done with the coordinator spots over the last 48 hours has been a chef's kiss. You couldn't ask for better. Shield Wood was one of the most highly coveted DCs in the country, right? You had Mack Leftwich Houston wanting him, and we don't speak broke, y'all, on both fronts. We don't speak broke, okay? And then he goes out to Utah, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, shit, are the Utes going to let him leave? Are they going to let him leave? They did. He lands in Lubbock, and not even, 16 hours later, deal is done, according to ESPN's Pete Thamel. That's a hell of a 48 hours for Joey Maguire. You go out and you get two highly coveted coordinators and two coordinators that I think if you ask people that pay attention to Texas college football at a very high level would probably put Shield Wood and Mack Leftwich up there in the sense that they are really, really good and more people need to know about them. And you get both. Hell of a job. Hell of a job by Joey Maguire in that sense. And then again, you get J-Rod back. I mean, that's huge for the Red Raiders. There's no doubting that. Also, real quick, tangent, and I know some people don't like me cussing on here. I really don't care. How the hell is Taj Brooks not on the All Big 12 first team? Like, what are we doing here, right? What are we doing here? He is the second leading rusher in the Big 12, right? Some people are going to say, oh, the receiving aspect of it. Oh, this, that, and the other. Like, listen, Taj Brooks missed a game, and he's the second leading rusher in the Big 12. If he played that game, he's clearly the number one running back in terms of rush yards. He's clearly the number one running back in the Big 12 regardless. Just watch the damn film. I like Scadaboo as much as the next guy, okay? I like R.J. Harvey as much as the next guy, and I understand that the Big 12 is loaded when it comes to running backs, but there is a clear-cut best running back in this conference, and it's not a debate. You can call me a homer if you want, but it is not a debate. Go watch the film. Behind that offensive line, Taj Brooks was an absolute menace. There is no reason whatsoever on God's green earth that he should not be on the All Big 12 first team. Full stop. Makes no sense. 0 sense, Big 12. 0. You got it wrong. Admit it. You got it wrong. It's okay. You got it wrong. Tangent over there. Again, appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Alex, I agree with that. Put one or the other up there. I don't care which one you feel better about. Or if you like Scadaboo more, keep him up there. I don't care. Put Taj up there. If you like R.J. Harvey more, put Taj up there. But Taj deserves to be one of those two running backs. Period. End of story. That's just how it is. Again, appreciate y'all spending some of your Thursday night with me. Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. Again, it's 100% free. 9 videos this week, people, and we aren't done yet. Probably going to have another one out tomorrow as well, discussing some recap stuff, but y'all are hearing it live, so hey, y'all are getting it before everybody else in terms of the information. So again, appreciate y'all tuning in. All I ask you to do as a favor to tune in, if you're enjoying the content, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and tell your friend about a 100% free Texas Tech YouTube channel that's, well, interactive as hell, if we're being honest. All right. I didn't put this in the title because, truth be told, I ran out of characters. It only gives me 100, so I ran out of characters. And honestly, I forgot one of the letters anyway, so it wasn't off to a hot start. Father and son on staff. You heard that correctly. Father and son on staff. You may be thinking to yourself, RC, what do you mean? I'm glad you asked because I'm going to assume you did. Football Scoop has this out right now. Texas Tech expected to bring Garrett McGuire aboard the offensive staff. Garrett McGuire has coached under Matt Rule in Carolina and Nebraska for the past 4 years. As it mentions right there, Garrett McGuire is expected to join the Texas Tech offensive staff, sources told Football Scoop on Thursday. Head coach Joey McGuire, Garrett's father, is in the process of remaking his coaching staff after firing defensive coordinator Tim DeRuyter and seeing offensive coordinator Zach Kittley take the Florida Atlantic head coaching job. Shield Wood was announced as the Red Raiders' new defensive coordinator on Wednesday, and McGuire moved to hire Texas State offensive coordinator Mack Leftwich on Thursday. McGuire's specific role has not been outlined, sources told Football Scoop, but it is expected he'll work with offensive skill players in some capacity. McGuire appeared in 6 games as a quarterback and special teamer, talking about a little bit of his background there. But it's super interesting. Going back onto the screen here. I wonder if this means, and this is, again, me speculating, okay? That is it. So do not take this and if come back to me and say, oh, RC said this. No, I didn't. This is speculation. I have to wonder if potentially it is Cochran that's leaving. You have a little bit of experience, does McGuire, in terms of coaching tight ends and being on that side of the football. I wonder if that's the case because it would make sense that maybe Cochran goes out and follows Zach Kittley. They're very close. Obviously, I would love to keep Cochran. I think he's a phenomenal tight end coach, but maybe he takes the elevated title as the offensive coordinator at Florida Atlantic and views that as a progression in his career. I could see it, and no shame in that at all. Do what you think is best for your family. I can think of worse places to live than Boca Raton, Florida. I really can. But I think it is interesting in terms of offensive staff. The role is not clear cut. The other thing that I thought of when I saw that was, okay, did Dana Holgerson just say like, hey, we're not going to fire you, but no, we're going to bring somebody else in, that kind of deal. And that's totally fine. That's the new offensive coordinator up in Nebraska. It's every right. But I don't think Juice will leave, and I hope Cochran doesn't leave. I don't think McGuire will leave on the offensive line either. Maybe he coaches running backs, but I mean, you've got Coach Perry doing that, right? So I mean, like I don't know where else you would go outside of maybe somebody leaves to follow Kittley, and the most logical one of the bunch is the tight end coach in Cochran, right? So it's like, okay, that's kind of the dominoes that I see. Unless he comes in as an analyst, maybe that's what he does. Again, I am speculating here, but I'm trying to think about it out loud with you guys, and that's the thing that kind of stands out to me is like, okay, maybe that's what he does in terms of finding the role for him. Josh Kelly, second team. Honestly, I haven't even seen the second team. I was so upset about the first team that I didn't even look anywhere else, to be honest with you. Let me go pull that up real quick. Again, I truly can't believe that Taj Brooks didn't make the first team. Unbelievable. And you saw what Joey McGuire did, or if you didn't, he just posted the Big 12 conference leading rushers of all time. And, yeah, pretty good. Rich, think either coordinator is on the sideline for the bowl game? On the sideline, yes, but they're not calling plays. That's already been announced. It'll be Juice, wide receiver coach for Texas Tech, calling the offensive plays. And then it will be Coach CJ Ayu, the outside linebacker edge coach, calling the plays for the defense. So that's kind of where you're at on that front in terms of the calling the plays. But we shall see in terms of who it is. CJ was on the third team, disgrace, led the Big 12s in interceptions, I think. Interesting. Was he really? Honestly, I'm surprised outside of Jacob Rodriguez, somebody made a team. It's not trying to throw shade at everybody. I thought there were some solid players for the Tech defense, but overall, I thought the thing that stood out to me the most was by far the fact that Taj didn't make the team. I thought that was absolutely sick. Absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. Clearly, if you just watched even a second of football this year in the Big 12, you would be like, oh, okay, like Taj Brooks is the best running back. Maybe you go Scatterboo, right? But I think it was Taj Brooks. Call me a homer. I really don't give a shit. But Taj was that guy. He was the entire offense. And the crazy part was he had multiple games where it was like, I think like 75% or more of his rush yards came after contact. It was nuts. All right, let's see who we got here. First team, again, only one on there for Texas Tech was on the defensive side. That was Jacob Rodriguez. Second team, there's Taj Brooks with DJ Giddens. You also had Josh Kelly on the second team and Jalen Conyers. Good shit there, as well as Gino Garcia as the place kicker, as Jeremy said in the chat. Defensively, no players on the second team, and then you had the honorable mentions for Texas Tech, and that was CJ Baskerville, Honorable mention for Taj Brooks being Offensive Player of the Year in the conference, and he wasn't on the first team. That's crazy. And then Gino Garcia was not on the first team in terms of special teams, right, as the kicker, but he was also Special Teams Player of the Year in terms of honorable mention. Josh Kelly was an honorable mention in terms of Newcomer of the Year. Dre McCray, an honorable mention for kickoff and return specialist. And then Jacob Rodriguez was a honorable mention for Defensive Player of the Year, while Caleb Rogers got honorable mentions overall. So, again, you had some guys on there mentioned. You had CJ, Taj, Gino, Josh, Dre McCray, Jacob Rodriguez, and then Caleb Rogers. Those were all of the players that either had an honorable mention tag or made it. Actually, I forgot one, Jalen Conyers. Excuse me, Jalen Conyers was on there as well. Yeah, Barron was not an honorable mention. No, he was not. Yeah, which is surprising considering the year he had. He had a really good year, in my opinion. But you know, you either love or hate Barron Morton. It is what it is. West Virginia fan here. Scadaboo was the only 200 less yards with 40 less carries, so he could be ahead in yardage with 40 more carries. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Taj Brooks also missed a game. So there you go. I'm not saying you need to base a decision on who should be above that. And honestly, Scadaboo's not the one I have an issue with. It's more so RJ Harvey. But I mean, Taj Brooks missed a game. So what? Well, I don't think we need to bring in the fact that 40 less carries, 200 less yards. It's like, okay, what would have Taj done? Like, you know, in that regard. So it is what it is on that front. But I mean, again, Scadaboo's not the guy that I have a problem with more so on that list. I mean, Scadaboo is a freaking star. He reminds me of, I don't know if y'all remember this name at Stanford, but Toby Gerhart. Yeah, that's kind of what he reminds me of in that regard. And yeah, RJ Harvey's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, this is not me crapping on RJ Harvey. It's more so if you watch Texas Tech play this year in terms of everything, right? Like you would see behind the offensive line that Taj Brooks had to deal with, that he was doing things that no other running back in the Big 12 was doing. Because I could make the argument that Texas Tech from an offensive line standpoint was bottom like 4 in the conference, maybe bottom 5 if I'm feeling generous. Like it is what it is on that front. Harvey was the whole offense. So was Taj Brooks. Josh Kelly doesn't get 1,000 yards if it isn't for Taj Brooks. I don't think I'm crazy for that. Like the whole offense for Texas Tech was based around Taj Brooks because when Texas Tech was at their best, they were still using Taj Brooks as a decoy, i.e. play action, RPO, whatever it is, right? So it's like the arguments fall on deaf ears on that front. Like it feels like they just kind of were like, oh, yards per carry, cool. Watch the film and you would see what Taj Brooks did behind a terrible offensive line. I mean, again, we thought the offensive line was going to be better. I guess it was. It wasn't booty cheeks this year. It was just terrible, but it was still really bad. I mean, it was a really bad offensive line. And he still put up 1,500 yards for the second consecutive season. So it is what it is on that front. But again, everybody's going to have their qualms with it. I'm glad to see Jalen Conyers got some recognition. I know some people were upset about that production that he had this year, but good to see. I thought he was really, really good and deserved to be at least an honorable mention, but I'm very happy to see the fact that he made the second team. I thought that was really, really good in terms of just having him up there for sure. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, let's answer some questions. Again, recap real quick. Leftwich as offensive coordinator. We Gucci with that. Texas Tech lands a 4-star offensive lineman by the name of Connor Carty from Prosper. That's a dub. Maybe the biggest news of the day for Texas Tech, Jacob Rodriguez is set to return. That is absolutely huge for Sheil Wood in that Texas Tech defensive unit in 2025. And then a father and son on staff. Head coach Joey McGuire is set to hire his son, Garrett McGuire, in some sort of offensive role. They haven't established what that is yet, according to Football Scoop, but we should probably figure that out over the next coming day or so. I do want to hear from you guys, though, in the comments section. Again, Leftwich, Mack Leftwich as the offensive coordinator. Give me a grade. A, B, C, D, or E. My goodness, I'm just saying the alphabet. A, B, C, D, F. Give me your grade for Mack Leftwich in that hire for Texas Tech at the offensive coordinator position. Again, for me personally, I have to give it an A. I mean, he was absolutely sensational in terms of watching the film, going back. And again, I'm not going to act like I watched every damn game by Texas State, but the film that I watched specifically against, the BY or the higher level games that they had this year, is specifically the BYU game. I thought this was a great hire by Joey McGuire, much like the Shield Wood one was. I mean, you look at this in terms of going to look at Texas State, right? From the standpoint of, okay, what did they actually look like against a pretty good team? And again, I butchered that. They did not play BYU this year. My goodness, who am I thinking of that they played? That was in the Big 12. Let's see here. Arizona State. I'm sorry. Yes, Jeremy. Thank you for correcting me on that. I don't know why I thought it was BYU. I think I was thinking BYU played SMU. So that's what I was thinking. Apologies. You look at what their quarterback did. Jordan McLeod, stud, by the way, if you go watch it. And again, yes, appreciate y'all. Yeah. Texas State beat Arizona State. Or Arizona State beat Texas State. They did not play BYU. I was thinking of SMU and BYU there. But Jordan McLeod was sensational, 29 of 44, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. The guy that I think would be an interesting target for Texas Tech from Texas State would be the running back is Mahdi. Is that how you pronounce his name? Mahdi, Mahdi. Almost had 1,000 yards again this season in 2023 in the first year with Leftwich as the offensive coordinator. He had 1,300 yards rushing. Again, you may be able to get somebody better in the portal. I don't know. But in terms of a familiarity aspect of it, in having him be the veteran presence in that room with 2 guys that you feel really comfortable with getting a lot more snaps now that Taj Brooks is gone, and Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams, I think you could do a lot worse. So he's a guy that I would be looking at in terms of, again, he was 9 yards away from back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And in the past 2 years combined, he's got over 1,200 yards rushing. I mean, he's a stud. And I think he'd be a really solid fit and a guy that would allow and take some pressure off of those 2 younger guys in terms of the role that they could potentially have. So, again, that's kind of who I'm looking at. I don't know outside of that who I would really try and bring with from the offensive side of the football. But, yeah, it is what it is on that front. Texas State offense looked good against a good Sam Houston State defense. Yeah, it was and Cassidy's up at UNT now. He was a guy that I was interested in for the DC spot at Texas Tech, but more than happy with Shield Wood. I thought he was a lot better. Texas State offensive line looked pretty good, dang good. Yeah, in the reps that I watched, they did look good. I think also the scheme at that level also helps the offensive line a lot more than the scheme helps the offensive line at this level, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm being a little hypocritical there. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? But that's kind of my mindset where it's like, I think a scheme can hide a lot more flaws from an offensive line perspective at the G5 than it can at the P4. But I think Texas Tech is going to go spend a few bags in the portal to make sure that they get at least 2, if not 3, impactful offensive linemen. You just lost 2 RBs. Yeah, well, they're in the SEC, and it just means more to lose players, I guess, to them. It's just stab, but it is what it is. That was a terrible joke, but it is what it is. You think JT plays on Sunday? Again, me guessing here, but I think he does. I think that they were ultra cautious at home against DePaul in a game that they felt they could have won without him, which they did end up winning. But I also think that they know that this A&M game is a quad 1 opportunity and a win for them to significantly jump up in the net rankings and really have an extra data point and a little bit more margin for error in the Big 12. So I think he plays, but again, that's just my opinion right now. We're going to have to listen to it, and we'll probably get a little bit more information here on Friday or Saturday from Coach McCaslin before they head out to Fort Worth. By the way, if anybody's going to that game in Fort Worth, I will be out there as well, watching that one with a few buddies of mine. So if you want to come hang out, you should follow me on Twitter. And yeah, hey, come hang out. Maybe have a brewski. I think we're going to have a get-together, a Back to 12 podcast get-together, and then a Scarlet and Black Insider get-together in terms of having a beer or two before heading on over to Dickies to watch the Red Raiders hopefully beat the shit out of the Aggies. At the end of the video, you could maybe quickly brush on basketball, wondering about Cambridge. Also be at the game too. Yeah, Ty. Cambridge is gone. He's gone. So Grant McCaslin released a statement that he's going to be trying to get a medical waiver, and he is no longer a part of the program. So Texas Tech down from 10 players in a rotation down to 9. You'll see more of Ylahu moving forward. Let's see. Thoughts on Lane Kiffin's meltdown, acting like he didn't get destroyed by Tech and Baylor in their last few bowls. Yeah, I mean, looking at Lane Kiffin, right? And maybe I'm wrong here. Call me out. I want to preface everything I'm about to say. Lane Kiffin is a good coach. Okay, he is a good coach. But why do people make him out to be a great coach? Everywhere he's been, he's really underachieved. Right? Like, think about it. USC, underachieved. Raiders, underachieved. Tennessee, underachieved. Right? At Ole Miss, they went out and spent the second most amount of money in the portal. Right? They went all in on 2024 to make the college football playoff. And guess what? They're not going to probably make it. Right? It feels like every time we start seeing Lane Kiffin get to that like spot where like, oh, maybe he's beating the allegations in terms of being overrated. He doesn't. And to have him say all of these things, it's like, okay, bro, like that's fine. There's no doubt about it. I'm cool with that. You can say whatever you want about everything. But it's like at the end of the day, like eventually you got to have those high level results. And again, this is one of the best years Ole Miss has had in their program's history. But they literally said before the season they went all in, and they ain't gonna make the playoff. All right, I think that's a testament to the coaching aspect of it. So his meltdown, I find it hysterical, to say the least. A loss to St. John's is bad when St. Joe's, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, it's not great. I mean, the St. Joe's loss isn't going to look good at all. But that's why I think the A&M game is so much more important for Texas Tech at this point. There's a lot of Florida defensive players in the portal. Do you think we poach a few with the possibility they played with Payday Douglas? Maybe. I think Texas Tech is going to be very cerebral and very focused on a few guys in the portal. Princewell from Nebraska, I think, is a guy that could have a chance to have some Tech noise around him in terms of potentially wearing the scarlet and black. He's an edge guy for the Cornhuskers that just recently entered the portal. But there's going to be some other guys. There's a guy from Arkansas I would love to have, an interior offensive lineman. I would absolutely love to have him opposite of Vinny Scurry on that offensive line with Sheridan Wilson sandwiched in the middle there at center. Would absolutely love that. But really right now, I'm kind of waiting in terms of favorite portal targets. I think that there's what's his name from Houston, the corner that played for Wood last year. I believe his name is Hudson. Is it Hudson? Or Jeremiah Wilson, I think is his name. Sorry. Jeremiah Wilson. That's really what it is. Yeah. He had 2 picks against Baylor. One was a pick 6 against Sawyer Robertson. I think they're going to be very cerebral where they go, and you're going to see a lot of money thrown around. It's just at the end of the day, does the kid commit or not? That's going to be the biggest factor for sure. Again, wrapping up the video here, biggest news in Texas Tech football. Leftwich named as the offensive coordinator. The Texas State offensive coordinator moves northwest in the state to Lubbock to, 29-year-old offensive coordinator. He's a superstar in the making for sure. Texas Tech lands a 4-star offensive lineman in the class of 2025. It's flip season there on early signing day. And then J-Rod to return in 2025. That's arguably the biggest news of the day for Texas Tech, as well as Garrett McGuire will join the staff, son of Joey McGuire. According to Football Scoop, he is set to join the offensive staff with his position not yet named. But, hey, that's going to do it. 55 minutes straight. Again, 9 videos this week, people. If you enjoy the content here on the channel, it's 100% free. Every video we're putting out is 100% free. All I ask you to do is 3 things to help the channel out. Hey, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and tell at least one of your friends, maybe 2 of your friends in Red Raider Nation, to hop on board so we can keep growing this community and have the most interactive Big 12 and really Texas Tech YouTube channel. I mean, you see the comments. It's all over the place. It's great. Love the interaction, and we're going to interact with you each and every video. So again, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football and men's basketball all year long right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast. And as always, y'all know what to do. Stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.